Yeah, I just want to be the greatest.
It's your boy HifiVega back again, and today we are checking out an ultra cheap head unit. It's going to go on my test bench, but before it does that, why don't I check it out and see what it's actually capable of and how it does. So without further ado, the unit is the Axxera, let me find a model number, AXD430. It has two sets of pre-outs and it claims 4 volts. So we'll see if it actually does that. It also has Pandora control. It plays CDs. It has auxiliary, USB, all the good stuff you want. And right now on Crutchfield, it is only $25. I think it's some kind of blowout, so I will leave a link in the description below so you guys can check that out if you want to buy one of these. That being said, let's just get straight into the testing and see what this head unit's all about and see if it's actually worthy of being on the test bench. Much like every other head unit, you get the basic accessories. You get a remote, you get a faceplate holder, you have the trim ring, which is already installed, as well as the cage, and you get the plug. So that's basically all you need to hook this dude up. We're going to start with the 4-ohm stereo test. All channels will be driven. It's a 1 kHz track, and we are rated 18 watts by 4. Looks like we got 15 watts at 14.6 volts. I did not even bother with the clamp because it's such a low amperage draw. Now we're going to see at what point this unit clips on the speaker outputs. I've got the 1 kHz track loaded up, so let's just crank it and see where we land. Alright, looks like we get to volume 37 clean. Once we click up to 38, we get distortion, and full volume is 46. So on this unit, you are pretty good about 3/4 of the way up. Just for the fun of it, let's check it on the 40 Hz track and see how close or how different it is on the 40 Hz track. All right, we are now at the 40 Hz track. Let's crank it up. Same thing, 38, it starts to clip on the output. That's good to know. All right, now we're gonna check out the RCA output voltage. This is rated for 4 volts. We're gonna see at what volume we get the 4 volts, or if we get the 4 volts at all, who knows. One quick thing I wanna mention is, typically you test it by a lead here, and then a negative lead here on the outside. But I found it easier to just run my negative lead to my distribution block where the head unit is grounded. That way I'm only fooling with one lead here to get my test results. So keep that in mind. I am using a 1 kHz track. So let's just see at what volume we get what voltage and if we make the claimed 4 volt output. And also keep in mind that we clip the speaker outputs on this at 38. So if you're using this with just a sub amp and you're powering speakers off of it, 37 is the volume you can go to without clipping your speakers. So we'll see what kind of output voltage we get at 37, and then we'll turn it all the way up and see what output voltage we get. All right, we're at 0.5 volt now. We're at 1 volt at volume 30, or 1.1 volt. At volume 37, we're at 1.8 volt, I'm gonna call it. And this is the point at which the speaker outputs clip. So you'll be getting 1.8 volts to your amplifier at this volume. Now, if you're not using these speaker outputs and you're going fully amplified, we'll crank it up and see what we can get here. If we go all the way up, we only get 2.7 volts, so we do not make the rated 4 volts. Now let's hook the DD1 up again and see where these RCAs clip at. We're using the 1 kilohertz track. Let's see what volume the RCA outputs over here clip at. You can go basically to full volume. You clip at full volume, which is 46. If you go down to 45, we're still in clipping. 44, we get a clean signal. So that's good to know. We can go almost all the way up. We're just 2 clicks off full volume. Although we didn't get our full 4 volts output, it is nice that you can turn it basically all the way up. Now that we know that the RCAs clip at 45, I'm going to turn this up to volume 44. And let's see what kind of voltage we're getting at the maximum clean output you can get with this head unit here. Okay, we're at 44. Let's hit play and see what kind of voltage we get. All right, so we are getting 2.7 volts. That's not terrible, but that's not 4 volts, is it? All right, now we're gonna go through some of the features we have here. One of the biggest features that made me get this unit for my test bench is the play pause button. If you're doing testing, that is an absolute must. And some of the higher end units, believe it or not, do not have that feature. Now, when we dig into the menus, one thing I'm gonna mention is that these buttons they're plasticky and like clicky in a bad way. So that's not great. But as you dig into the menus, you can see you have EQ selections here. You have different types, like much of them do. Then also you have 3 different bands of EQ that you can use here. In these bands, you actually can go to different ones like 60 hertz, 80 hertz, 100 hertz, up to 200 hertz. But I will tell you the one thing is, once you set this level, say I set +2 at 100 hertz. Once I go to 200 hertz, that +2 stays. Or if I go down to 80 hertz, that +2 stays. So you only get to choose the frequency that you're boosting at. But the thing is, if you could do these frequencies separately and just boost them individually, that'd give you a much bigger range as far as EQing. But as it sits, you can do that for every single band. There is a range in which you can boost. But remember, whatever one you set it on is what it will boost. Then you have balance fader. That's pretty simple stuff. Now this subwoofer on, you have 2 4 volt outputs. One of them is the subwoofer output. You can do it on or off. If you go off, it will do a full range signal. If you go on, then you have a subwoofer control here. Now that the subwoofer is on, you can control the sublevel and the subwoofer frequency, which is pretty nice. Let's see what frequencies are available. We have a flat, an 80 hertz, a 120 hertz, a 160 hertz. So that's not great. I'd like to see this down to at least 50 hertz. 63 hertz is kind of a standard that a lot of us tend to use. As we go deeper into the menus, you can change it up a bit. You have clock control, different options. Your iPod control you can change as well. And when you go into the 3rd layer of the menu, you can control gain on every single input you have here, which is nice because sometimes on the auxiliary ports, which you have one up front here, sometimes you need a little boost on those ports. Now you come up, this is your screen control. You can do everything from here. Put it in demo mode, control the color, brightness, and contrast. And then with one more click, we are back to the tuner screen. You have one auxiliary port up here. You have one USB port right here, as well as an RCA auxiliary in the back. As I have been doing these tests, I have noticed something a little strange. I can hear, I think it's the CD mechanism spinning. There's a little, I don't know what you would call it, but I want to play this track and let you guys hear it, or see if you guys can hear what I'm hearing, or maybe I'm just crazy, but let's try it. I'll put the mic right up against it and we'll see. All right, I'm back with my final thoughts. You guys got to see the results. And this Axxera, or ever how you say it, Axxera, it's all right. It's not bad. For $25, Would I recommend it? Sure. Even at full price of $50, would I recommend this? Yes. But, there's a but, this is not a 4-volt head unit. It claims 4-volt, and, you know, even at clipping, we didn't get 4 volts. We got 2.8 at the highest. We got 2.7 at full volume before we clip. That's not bad, but this should be a 2-volt or a 2.5-volt unit, not claimed a 4-volt unit. Bad on them for that. Good on them for several things. Let's kind of talk about it. I do like that it has 2 outputs versus 1. On some of the cheaper units, you do not get 2 outputs. And it also has several auxiliaries. It has a 3.5 here. It has another auxiliary RCA in the back, a 3.5 in the front, and then you have a USB input. It does play CDs. I didn't show it in the video, but the mechanism works very well. Accepts CDs quickly, ejects them quickly. The buttons, let me see if you hear that better. The buttons suck. They're plastic, cheap buttons. It does have a volume knob, man. A volume knob makes this unit 10 times better than it would be if it had push buttons, because the push buttons already suck. So having a volume knob is nice to screen. I've read online that people have had issues with this screen going out. We'll have to see how it does on my bench. If it holds up over time, you know, you guys will know if I have to replace this because the screen goes out. I'll do some sort of update video. But the screen, the quality of it, the way it looks, I think it's, you know, it's great. It's actually a nice looking screen. It's unfortunate that they don't have display modes on here where you can kind of show something cool or some sweet VU meters. It's just stock, but I think it's a nice looking screen. Quality, who knows? We'll see at some point if this fails or not. I'll let you guys know. It's a budget unit. If you're looking for a budget unit, I think this will do the trick. If you're going to try to replace something nice with this unit, no, this isn't going to be the unit for you. I think it's a good deal. You guys should check it out. Just know what you're getting yourself into. I appreciate you guys watching, liking, subscribing, do all this type of stuff. It really helps me out on my channel, and I'm trying to grow the channel this year. I'm trying to actually grow quickly. I normally don't do that. I also changed up my Patreon goals a little bit. I'm going to do an exclusive podcast if I can reach a certain goal. So if you guys want to check that out, do that, patreon.com/HifiVega. And if not, tell me what you think about this unit in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. That being said, I will catch you guys on the next video. I want to give a shout out to all my Patreon supporters, but a special shout out goes to the 6-star or more members: 2001 Monolithic, The Third Era, G Nava, Joaquin Juarez, Byron Chambliss, El Fuego, Travis McClendon, Brandon Hanna, William Berg, Boxboy Audio Sound Solutions, Jesus Tires, Orion the Great, Chris Hanley, Dennis Cromwell, and Jason Diet. For as little as $2 a month, you can be on the team, get exclusive content, and if I reach my goal of $300 a month, I will do an exclusive Patreon only podcast. So check me out, patreon.com/HifiVega.